displaying the glory of God's creation by exploring America one park at a time. Welcome to Parking Full Time with Big Dave, the parks professor. First hole. The par and distance are at the top of the screen. This first hole is actually the longest hole on this entire course, and it can be a rude way to start your round. The fairway is pretty wide except for an area coming up about 300 feet from the back tee. We're approaching that area now. That area is a little neck where the fairway gets constrained by some dense woods off to the right and the park road off to the left. So with your tee shot, you want to use a right to left disc flight to get up here near this neck, and from there then you can attack the basket. Now the park road on the left is a little too close for comfort, for safety purposes, but there is this row of trees between the fairway and the park road, so it could be worse. I do want to welcome you back to Parking Full Time. I am Big Dave, the parks professor. As an aside, if you didn't want to start with a hole this long, another way you could play this course is you could go across the park entrance road, start on the 8th hole, play holes 8 through 27 first, and then come over here and play the first 7 holes last. Of course, if you're going to play all 27 holes at this park, you'll have to play this hole at some point, but the 8th hole is a much shorter hole to start with than this one. The second hole is another long hole, but this hole plays moderately downhill, and it has a fairly wide fairway, and therefore 3 is a reasonable par for this hole, and really this hole is a decent bit easier than the first hole. There is some dense woods off to the right, and there's a fenced-in area off to the left, so you really don't want to miss the fairway on this hole, but again, the fairway is pretty wide. Let me say a word about the courses at this park. We are at Sandy Creek Park. We're on the north side of Athens, Georgia, and there are actually 2 courses at this park. There is the 18-hole white course and the 9-hole red course. Alternatively, you can combine those 2 courses in a clever way to form a single 27-hole course known as the Alt 27, and that's the course that I'm presenting here. I'm presenting this course in 3 videos, one for the front 9, one for the middle 9, and one for the back 9. All of the holes on the front 9 are actually from the white course. We will see some holes on the red course on the middle 9. There's the basket, and there's the view back uphill to the tee. After 2 long opening holes comes the first kind of technical hole. On this hole you have to hit this really tight gap right in front of the tee. There are 3 possible basket positions, and when I came here the basket was in the right position. So after you get through that gap, you'll need a left to right disc flight in order to get close to the basket. In general, most holes on this course have 3 different tees, and between 1 and 3 possible basket positions. And that's the reason for the range of distances I'm giving you at the top of the screen. There's the 3rd basket, and there's the view back to the tee from behind the basket. The 4th hole plays moderately downhill. It's a moderate dogleg right, and once you get down the fairway a little bit, there are also some low limbs that overhang the fairway, thus creating a low ceiling. You're going to want to use a left to right disc flight on this tee shot. The woods to the left are denser than the woods to the right, so you're better off overbending your disc flight than underbending it. Let me finish my thoughts on the tees and the baskets. All of these video clips start at the back tee and go to whatever position the basket was in on the day that I came here. On this hole the basket's in the long position, so we did see the full 318 feet on the 4th hole. Now the course route turns to the north along the park's west boundary. The 5th hole is another long hole. There are no obstacles directly between the tee and the basket, but there are a large number of overhanging limbs from nearby trees. That creates a low ceiling, and therefore your distance becomes constrained, and therefore at 494 feet this is a reasonable par 4. I captured this video on Tuesday, March the 25th, and it was a warm and sunny afternoon with temperatures in the mid-70s when I came here. I did see a few other groups on the course when I played here, but this course is pay to play. It's $3 to play here. Personally, I think this course is very good and therefore it's worth every penny of the $3, but that does keep the crowds down somewhat. Here's the fifth basket. Once you get out of the trees, this is actually a very open hole. And there's the view back to the tee from behind the basket. Hole number 6 is kind of a strange hole. There was the big cedar tree that you saw directly in front of the tee, and you pretty much have to throw under the limbs of that tree. Other than that, there are no obstacles directly between the tee and the basket, just a few trees off to the right and the 1 or 2 trees off to the left. There are some holes on this course I really like. This, to be honest, isn't really one of them. The basket's in the short position on this video clip, by the way. There's the 6th basket, and there's the view back to the tee from behind the basket. The 7th hole is another very open hole. It plays gradually uphill. There's this dense woods off to the right, but other than that, there are only a few individual small trees that you need to miss. This is another hole that honestly has very little appeal to me. To get to the 8th tee, you have to walk behind the basket, around the visitor center, across the park entrance road, and then angle right. The 8th tee is by the park's main circle road. For the most part, course navigation on this course is not really a problem. There is a course map right by the visitor center, but I only had to use it once or twice in order to figure out how to get to the next tee. There's the 7th basket, and there's the view back to the tee from behind the basket. The 8th hole is more interesting. The tee shot forces you to deal with this arc of trees that lines the main park road, which is off to the right. We're going to walk through the arc of trees, and that means you'd have to keep your disc flight low and you'd have to pick a gap in order to hit. Alternatively, you could use a sweeping left to right disc flight and go around this arc of trees, but to do that, you're going to have to bend your disc quite a bit. The road off to the right is definitely a safety hazard, as a bad ricochet off of one of those trees could easily send your disc out into that road. This is a much more interesting hole than the previous couple of holes. There's the 8th basket, and there's the view back to the tee from behind the basket. The 9th hole is the last hole on the front 9. It's a hole that's fraught with blacktop and safety hazards. There's some old blacktop from some old tennis courts off to the left. There's the park road off to the right. We're going to cross a blacktop walking path coming up here, and there's also a park road beyond the basket. In addition to that, there's this row of trees off to the right, so you want to use a left to right disc flight to get to this basket. Overall, this is a really nice course. I did enjoy playing here, even though a couple of the holes on the front 9 are not really my cup of tea. The other 2 9s have more wooded holes, and we'll take a look at that next time. I do want to thank you for watching. Parking full-time would not be anything without the people who watch. I realize that every day, and I thank you every day. That's the end of the front 9. I'll see you on the middle 9. Until then, have a great afternoon, take care, and Lord bless.